Wes here, and welcome back for day 20 of Shocktoberfest 2021. Today, we've got another Stephen King adaptation, and this one, not bad at all, I must say. We're going to be talking about David Cronenberg's 1983 adaptation of The Dead Zone. Now, a lot of people might know that this movie was, obviously adapted from a Stephen King book, but then again, it was also adapted again in the later 90s as a TV series starring Anthony Michael Hall and Sean Patrick Flanery. But today we're going to be talking about the OG adaptation. This one is about a man named Johnny Smith who is a teacher, and he also has a girlfriend named Sarah Bracknell. They are getting close to wanting to get married and have a future together. Unfortunately, well, much like in Misery, Johnny gets into a car accident and he ends up in a coma for 5 years. And during this time, his girlfriend Sarah moves on and gets married and has a kid. And Johnny notices something about himself after this car accident. He's been getting frequent headaches. And anytime he touches somebody, he's able to look into the future and sometimes in the past of what people are doing. And when the media gets word of this, they start pretty much hounding him down, trying to say, hey, help us with this, help us with that. Johnny's been kind of beside himself and also heartbroken after finding out about Sarah moving on in her life and leaving him behind. However, while this is going on, Sarah and Johnny do end up reconnecting and sharing some very sensitive moments. However, it will not last because, obviously, infidelity is not a good thing, folks, right? Right. While Johnny's trying to get back into a normal life, the local sheriff is asking Johnny to help him out on a murder case of someone who's been abducting women and murdering them very viciously. At first, Johnny doesn't want to do it, and then eventually he realizes it's for the best if he does, because the fact is, he needs to put his powers to some good use. When he does put his powers to good use, he finds out that the murderer is none other than the sheriff's deputy. So that's an interesting twist right there. When they try to confront the deputy on what he was doing, the deputy commits suicide by pretty much plunging a pair of scissors through his mouth and up through his head. It's pretty gruesome and pretty graphic, but hey, it's a Cronenberg film, folks. Moving on into the story, we find out that there's this politician named Greg Stilson who is running for Senate, and he's kind of a corrupt individual. I mean, a lot of people don't realize it, but he is corrupt, and he does have a little side man named Sonny that basically is his muscle. The guy that's pretty much, bullying everybody into letting Greg get his way. Well, as this is going on, we also find out that Sarah and her husband are also constituents of Mr. Stilson to become a member of Senate. When Johnny meets him for the first time, he notices something about him, something that's not good. He sees into the future that if Stilson is elected into the Senate, he will eventually run for president, and then he will force the pretty much Ministers of War, Defense, Department of Defense and everything to drop the bombs for pretty much starting World War III. And Johnny is doing everything he can to make sure that doesn't happen. And this happens, Stilson notices that Johnny shoots a warning shot, misses him. And while it's happening, he picks up Sarah's son and uses him as a shield. And while he does this, the media is having a heyday taking pictures. And Sonny pulls out a gun and shoots on Johnny, pretty much fatally wounding him. And before Johnny can die, he touches Greg one last time and sees the future. He doesn't become president. He doesn't become senator. In fact, the shame of him holding up the child as a shield during the assassination attempt makes him look weak. And Mr. Stilson kills himself in the image of mist. So Johnny knows that everything is going to be okay. Now there's a lot of things in this film that I did brush across, and I left a couple things out because, I'm not sure how many people have seen the original adaptation, and I honestly think you should. It is an 80s movie, so make sure go to your local video store and rent a copy. Or just, find it on streaming service. Do what I did. It'll be easy. Now it's time to talk about what I like and what I don't like about the film. Now, what I don't like about the film, I guess I would have to say they tried to bring back kind of a love interest situation between Johnny and Sarah, just kind of old flames reminiscing, and yeah, there was a little bit of infidelity there, but then they still brought up this will they, won't they situation where Johnny just let his emotions run wild, and it just kind of, that situation fell flat for me because it's like, obviously, if they really wanted to bring it to a head, it would have gotten to the point where Sarah was going to be tired of her husband, or let's say, she wanted to leave him, or let's say Johnny touched, her husband's hand and looked into the future or the past and saw something bad about him, and then that might have, made Sarah want to come back to Johnny in the end. That actually would have made the love story a little bit more complete for me. Otherwise, it's just kind of, okay, it's substantial. It doesn't, it's just kind of, it is what it is. Just leave it alone. Now, I do love the casting on this film. It's got the who's who of, pretty much a lot of A-listers, pretty much. You have Christopher Walken playing Johnny Smith. You have Charlie Sheen playing Greg Stillson. You also have Tom Skerritt playing the sheriff. You have Brooke Adams, Herbert Lowe, Anthony Zerbe, Colleen Dewhurst, and you have Nicholas Campbell. The list goes on and on. There's a lot of them I rattled off. Yeah, I had to look at my notes just a little bit because, sometimes it's hard to memorize nowadays. I used to be able to, but now, it's a good thing I've got notes. Another thing I like about it is some of the nods. Johnny Smith as a teacher loves Edgar Allan Poe. He keeps talking about The Raven. He has students reading The Raven nonstop. And I guess with the love story, I can kind of nod in agreement with him and Sarah of this kind of unrequited love, because in The Raven, basically the narrator is talking about the love for Lenore. Basically, someone the love is unrequited, is not returned, and he's basically he's upset, he's depressed, melancholy, and so obviously Johnny can relate to the narrator in The Raven. So yeah, I can understand that one. I like that nod. Another thing that's kind of funny, it's more for trivia now, is he starts talking about Sleepy Hollow and the Headless Horseman. And we're going to get into that in the near future with Sleepy Hollow, because he does tend to make that reference. Definitely helped him get a part in a movie, and probably almost 20 years later. The music of this movie, we're going to go back to somebody that we have talked about time after time after time after time after time again in the music department. We have the late Michael Kamen doing music for this film. This man has done music for everything. Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, the list goes on and on. We don't really have to talk about it because we have time after time after time. So, we just gotta say, music is great, love it. Another thing about The Dead Zone that I really love is that not only did it get another adaptation for a television series in the early 2000s, but prior to that, on Saturday Night Live around the late 80s, early 90s cast with Adam Sandler and Chris Rock and Chris Farley, there was a segment that they did where Phil Hartman was making fun of Christopher Walken in a segment called Ed Glosser Trivial Psychic, where it's basically The Dead Zone, only Christopher Walken's going, at lunch, you're going to treat yourself to an ice cream sundae. Well, you're going to eat it too fast. You're going to get an ice cream headache. It's going to hurt here for 8-9 seconds. It's like, you're giving everybody the creeps. He's like, I don't know how I got these powers. It just came to me. So, yeah. And instead of a car accident, it's a tanning bed power outage that gives him the trivial psychic powers. So, yeah. Now it's time to grade this film. As much as I, kind of thumb my nose at the whole love story being kind of muddled, or just, it really wasn't needed for this adaptation or to be as important as it was. The rest of it is very good. I enjoy this movie very much so, and especially it's a Cronenberg film. Most of his work, a lot of people can totally, applaud. And this one, it needs to be applauded just about the same. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one an A-. Good movie. A few things that they could have tweaked a little bit better, but honestly, I like it nonetheless. So we hope you enjoyed this review. Make sure that you leave a thumbs up, and if you didn't agree with some of the things I said during it, leave a thumbs down. I totally understand. Also, make sure that you share on social media, but most importantly, push that little red button. And don't forget to ring the bell for instant notifications, because if you don't ring that bell, you might not know when the next episodes come out. You might not even know what other episodes come in the future. Because we've got a lot in store for you, even after Shocktoberfest. Oh yes, we do, and we hope you stick around for that. Until then, I'm Wild Man Wes, and we hope to see you tomorrow for Day 21 of Shocktoberfest 2021. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay scared.